Good morning, everybody. My name's Mike Hyman. I'm the City Attorney for the City of Aurora. Here with me this morning is City Manager Skip Noe and Chief of Police Nick Metz. We each have remarks for you, and due to personnel records laws and the confidentiality requirements of the settlement agreement, we are not able to answer questions this morning. The City has reached a settlement with the family of Nashalis Carter Vinzant for the officer-involved shooting on March 6, 2015 that claimed the life of Mr. Carter Vinzant. Upon probate court approval, the terms of the settlement agreement include a monetary payment of $2.6 million to the family of Mr. Carter Vinzant and certain non-economic terms that confirm the city's and the Aurora Police Department's commitment to community policing, self-evaluation, transparency, and tactical improvements. With the exception of the dollar amount, the specific terms of the settlement agreement are confidential. Therefore, I cannot go into more detail about the specifics of the non-economic terms. In recognition of the seriousness of this event and its impact upon the community, the city and Mr. Carter Vinzant's family, through their attorneys, maintained an open line of communication for the past year and a half. No lawsuit was filed. Early settlement of this matter was actively sought in an effort to resolve this matter before the parties engaged in what would have been an extremely lengthy, costly, stressful, and divisive process. The city's settlement team included members of the Aurora City Attorney's Office, representatives from the city's excess insurance carrier, city management, and outside legal counsel. The Aurora Police Department was kept apprised of these discussions. I'll now invite Chief Metz to discuss some of the changes that have occurred in the Aurora Police Department since this event. Chief?
Thank you. Good morning. Again, I'm Nick Metz. I'm the Chief of Police with the Aurora Police Department. As most of you remember, the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office presented the facts and circumstances of this case to an Arapahoe County jury involving the fatal shooting of Mr. Carter Vinzant by Aurora Police Officer Paul Giroth. After 7 months of painstaking testimony and a thorough review of evidence, the grand jury unanimously determined that no criminal charges were appropriate. Following the grand jury's decision not to indict, an investigation into this incident was completed by the Aurora Police Department's Internal Investigations Bureau. During this process, Officer Giroth was assigned to an administrative assignment. The department will work with him and his chain of command to determine what his next assignment will be. This is obviously a very tragic event for everyone involved. In other communities, such an event could have resulted in violence and a breakdown of police-community relations. Here in Aurora, it was noticeably different. With the day-to-day community outreach of our officers and the partnerships with community leaders, the department and the community we serve have been able to engage in a constructive dialogue about modern policing, discuss our disagreements about incidents and policy, and work together to build upon APD's commitment to service. As I promised immediately following the incident, a comprehensive review of the department's use of force policies and training was completed. Many reforms have been implemented to include the creation of a Compliance and Professional Standards Division for the research, review, amendment, and development of APD policies and procedures. The Compliance and Professional Standards Division Chief reviewed the agency's use of force policies to make sure that APD is following national best practices regarding training, reporting, investigating, and tracking officer use of force incidents. The two major changes that have been implemented are the development of a tier system for reporting officer-involved use of force and the creation of a force review board. The Force Review Board is empaneled to review uses of force to determine compliance with department directives, procedures, and training. The Internal Affairs Bureau also went through significant reforms to reaffirm a culture of accountability and to promote legitimacy. Internal Affairs was relocated from APD headquarters to a new off-site location to create a more neutral environment and to report concerns of police conduct. Additional personnel were added to ensure consistent and better quality investigations. The increased responsibilities and added staffing are now under the direction of a commander instead of a lieutenant. Lastly, policy and procedures will continue to be reviewed with the intent of improving the quality and timeliness of internal investigations and to ensure appropriate strategies are applied and outcomes achieved to increase trust within the public that the APD serves. The Aurora Police Department is committed to continue building and strengthening the relationship within our community. The APD maintains a website to share information and make services available to the public, including the filing of complaints. In addition to the website, the police department also uses social media as a means to interact with the citizens. We also support and encourage our officers to positively interact with community members. And on that note, I wanted to point out a couple of booklets that we shared with you before the press conference started. The first one is our Initiatives for Enhancing Community Relations. In this booklet, it outlines what our community engagement strategies and goals are, but it also outlines many of the reforms that have been discussed previously. Also want to point out this new booklet that we just unveiled this last week called Empowering Understanding Through Knowledge, which is a book that was written and created by youth for the youth to discuss such things as knowing your rights and other issues that young people today are very interested in. I want to end by saying this, that every day our officers demonstrate their commitment to our great city by not only engaging with Aurora's diverse communities, but also putting themselves in harm's way in making Aurora one of the safest major cities in our country. And now I'd like to ask City Manager Skip Noe to say a few words.
Thank you, Chief. The loss of life is always tragic and has lasting consequences for the family, friends, neighbors, those employees involved, and the city as a whole. We all believe this settlement is in the best interest of the family and the community. This settlement will hopefully allow everyone to begin the healing process and to close a chapter that has been difficult for all parties. I'd like to thank the family and their attorneys for their commitment to address this matter in a constructive manner. We thank our community leaders for their commitment to peaceful and helpful dialogue. And finally, I thank Chief Metz and the officers of the APD for their commitment to engage with the community and create positive relationships throughout Aurora. That concludes our comments this morning, and we thank you for coming.